And one thing about Auburn too, they came in hitting on all 8 cylinders last year, and I don't want to use the term caught lightning in a bottle, but last year they didn't really face any kind of controversy. I mean, not controversy, but adversity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had the one loss to LSU. It was a rainstorm. They got behind.
Well, I believe if it hadn't, I mean, I'm not making excuses, but I believe Auburn was setting themselves up to beat them. I mean, they took over that game in the end.
The second half, it was Auburn.
It was all Auburn.
Yeah.
So Auburn hasn't been in a situation where they're behind 21-0 or 17-3, or mainly because the offense. I mean, nobody can stop the running game long enough for the other team to get ahead.
Well, I was talking to somebody the other day, a big Auburn fan and a good friend of mine. But this is what's going to prove to me if Auburn's for real. I mean, they had this killer season last year. Now I want to see what they do this year. And they've set themselves up. They're looking like they can do it. But, I mean, the season hasn't started yet, and I want to see what they do. Are they for real? Do you think they're for real, Kevin?
So far, I haven't seen anything to prove me otherwise. Now, I will say this. I think the LSU game is going to be key for Auburn because LSU, they're the only team that's shut down Auburn and Texas A&M because last year John Chavis, of course A&M they gave
up 4 field goals, didn't they?
Yeah, Johnny Football wasn't at 100% because he was still recovering from the Auburn game. But at the LSU game, John Chavis, defensive coordinator for LSU, has put together 2 great game plans for Auburn. And I mean, the Auburn, I think they got 21 points, and then A&M scored maybe 13. So to hold both of those teams to a combined 34 points.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's considering the Les Miles factor on offense, you never know what's going to happen there.
Well, LSU had more players drafted than any other team in the SEC, and most of those were defense. They lost their 2 starting wide receivers, and their tailback, but most of everybody else was from defense. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can
regroup.
Regroup that. And another thing about Auburn is last year or the year before last, they were 3-9. Nobody expected them to win any games last year. And they were pretty bad to start the season off. They just kept getting better and better the longer Nick Marshall was in that system.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I think Auburn, like you said, Andy, Auburn, Alabama, and LSU are going to be the teams to beat. But right now, and I'm not saying this because I'm an Auburn fan. I'm saying it because I'm a football fan. But Auburn did not lose anybody off that offense. They lost Trey Mason, and that was basically it. But they got 4 more just like him down there.
They got a stockyard.
When they got Rob Thomas coming in down there this year, who's a freshman who's been compared to him, and then they got the number 1 JUCO running back in the country coming down there. Plus they've got Cameron Artis-Payne, Corey Grant, and the Barber kid is just as good. You know, they're not, and they lost Greg Robinson, but they're saying that this Sean Coleman may be better than he is.
Yes.
So
I've been reading about him, and I'm impressed with him.
And true, and based on last year, I mean, you have to give Auburn the edge as far as going the season. Plus, as an Alabama fan, I'd rather be the underdog. I don't want anybody thinking we're going to do anything because if in past Alabama under Nick Saban, when they're supposed to have done what they're supposed to do, they haven't. Like in 2010, they didn't hold up the expectations then, and didn't hold up the expectations last year. Of course, last year, I had them losing maybe 1 or 2 games, but I didn't have them going undefeated in the regular season, which they ended up not doing anyway.
Well, the thing about Alabama is they play LSU is the first week of November, and they play Auburn the last game. So they got all year to pretty much get ready for their 2 biggest games.
Yeah, well, to me there's a couple of trap games that I still say. I mean, I know the A&M's program is kind of in disarray right now. I still think Kevin Sumlin's a good enough coach. He's going to have them ready to play in Tuscaloosa. And the Ole Miss game, we have to go to Ole Miss. And every time we go to Ole Miss, weird things happen.
Well, I know it.
And if we can survive, and we got to go to Arkansas this year, which I know some people are not expecting a whole lot, but going to Arkansas and playing A&M and Tuscaloosa and going to Ole Miss, if we can get those 3 games, if we can go into the Tennessee game undefeated, I'll have a more positive outlook, but I'm just, the quarterback situation has got me stumped.
Well, I think we're going to be fine, and I'm looking forward to it. I like the challenge of us not going in there with, a set team right now, and I know Nick didn't throw everything out there in the A-Day game. Somebody was telling me the other day how terrible we looked. I said, well, good grief. I said, he don't care about that. I said, he's out there working on some plans and some schemes. But I said, We'll be ready when it gets started.
Speaking of Alabama football, I just got a Twitter update that former Alabama linebacker Derek Thomas is inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame.
He needed to be.
He sure did.
I know it.
Should have already been.
Oh, I mean, he lost out last year before last over Teddy Bruschi, and Teddy had more accolades as a pro player than a college player. But I'm glad to see that happen. So congrats out to the family of Derek Thomas.
We're coming up on our first break. We'll be back right after this. As always, Paul Manning will take the lead, working with other elected officials in the county and the cities to meet our growing needs. Paul Manning will continue to be your voice in county government, treating all citizens with dignity, respect, and kindness. Experience is important in these challenging economic times. Paul Manning has proven he is a watchdog over your tax money and ran his own business, Paul Manning Barbecue, in Coal City for 40 years. Paul Manning is dedicated to the continued growth that is healthy for our county. Put your trust in a proven conservative leader who works hard for all our citizens. Vote for Paul Manning in the June 3rd Republican primary for the St. Clair County Commission Chairman. This ad paid for by the Paul Manning Campaign. P.O. Box 119, Wattsville, Alabama 35182.
Hello, I'm Robert McKay, Mayor of Asheville, Alabama, and candidate for House Seat 30, covering North St. Clair and Southern Etowah County. I would love to represent you in this district. I'm a pro-business, and I believe in small government and less taxes. I can relate to all the people. I am a small business owner, drive a bus for the St. Clair school system, and can relate to all the working men and women in this district. I'm a strong believer in education. Educated people will enrich our economy. I ask for your support in the June 3rd Republican primary. Please visit my Facebook page at robertmckay.33449 for more information. This is a paid political advertisement by friends of Robert McKay. Thank you.